Over a year ago, Ruth Reichl, the renowned chef and food writer, said this: "What this pandemic is doing is changing forever the way America eats and cooks. Change for sure, change for the better, change for the worse." Or Ruth Reichl, welcome to the program. Was it change that you had no way of foreseeing when you said that?
I certainly had no way. First of all, I don't think any of us understood at the beginning that it was going to go on for so long. In the beginning, when restaurants started closing, people thought it would be a month or two. As it stretched on, what everybody in America had to become aware of was how stressed our food system was. Things that we had always taken for granted, we couldn't anymore. Personally, in the course of the year, I came to think that that was a really good thing. I mean, the one thing Americans have always, been confident of is that you were going to go to the stores and there would be abundance. And suddenly, as we saw people, dairy people dumping their milk, and as we realized that fishermen were really in trouble because 85% of the fish in America is eaten in restaurants, not at home. We saw supply chains really closing down, and we started to understand that, what has happened in this country pretty much since World War II is that we began to privilege efficiency over absolutely everything else. We essentially turned our farms and our entire food system into factories. And it gave us the cheapest food in the world, but in a time of crisis, we began to see what a bad idea that really is. And I think it was a wake-up call for all of us.
Frequently pose the question, do you think we'll ever go back to the way things were before? And in the case of this particular subject, as you would see it, that would be a disaster if we simply went back to the way things were before without thinking differently about this.
It would be a disaster. I mean, if we waste this crisis, shame on us, is all I have to say. I mean, I think the more that we all understand how important our food choices are, the better the world will be. And certainly, we're seeing this the world is burning up. And that has a lot to do with food too, and the way we've chosen to farm and raise animals.
Parents know what they ought to be telling their children to eat, but aren't for some reason. Do people know, broadly speaking, is nutritional intelligence high in the United States, or do a lot of people not know what a healthier meal would be? Monica Klausner, I see you nodding. Thoughts about what everyday people can do to address our food problems?
I mean, I agree with Ruth wholeheartedly. I believe that as parents, we know what's good to feed our children. I think sometimes what happens is that life gets in the way and convenience takes center stage, or our children are asking for things that they've seen on TV or that they've seen their friends have in their lunch boxes, Lunchables, cereal, whatnot. And it makes it easy. It's an easier decision to feed the kids things that are easily accessible, as opposed to having to make a full meal out of plants, which would be the right choice, not the easy choice.
Our next guest, Mark Bittman, is one of the country's most popular food writers. His many books, How to Cook Everything among them, are vital references in many an American kitchen. Your work is a critique of the food system that's evolved over many centuries. And in it, you write this. You write, it's most accurate to think of industrial agriculture as a form of mining, extracting soil, water, elements, fossil fuel, and more, rapidly using riches that developed over eons. And as such, it's easy to see how it can't last, how to use contemporary language. It's not sustainable. It can't endure. It's having a good run. So my question is, how will it cease to be sustainable? Will we have global famines? Will global warming kill off crops? What is the disaster you feel we're in a collision course with?
Well, I don't know that we're on a collision course any more than we're on a collision course to not be able to go anywhere because we run out of fossil fuels. But what we do know is that in 100, 150 years, we've used more resources than have been created by nature in the last several million. And that's true of soil. It's true of resources like phosphorus, potassium. It's true of fossil fuel, obviously. And no one knows what the future is going to bring. But when you see that things are used at not only an unreplenishable rate, but a completely unsustainable rate, and a rate was unimaginable until the 19th century, it's not hard to see that there simply isn't enough. So if you have, for example, the rest of the world wanting to eat meat the way that Americans and Australians and Western Europeans and Brazilians have eaten meat for the last 50 or 75 years, there simply aren't the resources to do that. So that means eating less meat. That means eating more fruits and vegetables. That means paying more attention to doing agriculture that can endure, that can be sustainable, and so on. I don't think we're going to see an immediate food crisis that overnight makes us change the food system. But I think that if we read the signals, if we look at the past and look toward the future, we can act much more wisely than we're doing now.